Alright, this will be the very first video I've ever made for YouTube. I'm not really sure how this is going to go. Not got anything written down, no script. Got an idea in my mind what I want, how I want this to play out. You read the description of the channel. Really been struggling with something for a couple of years now, and I think I'm on to something. I think it's a journey that's going to take a little bit more time, but part of the journey is financial freedom, and a good possibility that YouTube may add value. I don't know. It's the first video. No promises, but if there's a value that I can add, given my story and kind of what I'm working on, what I've lived through, and then kind of where this all lands, then maybe getting some in return is not a bad idea. So I'm just going to try to talk about a few things. I guess at the end of this one, I will have to kind of lay out a structure and a plan, because it's going to take several videos to get through this. I'm not going to try to inundate you with too much at one time, but just like the description says, I'm kind of on a journey to freedom. Sorry. The thought I've got is to kind of break it down into 3 sections, and first of which is who I was, then kind of flow into who I am, and then who I want to be. And then hopefully by that point in time, when we get to that part of the journey, I can kind of head us into the next channel, because at that point I think should kind of have a clean slate and rebuild. But again, I don't know how long this is going to take. I work a lot, try to learn in between, and also have a life and a family to tend to. So it's not going to be a ton of opportunity to do this. I would aim to get going and describe things weekly at the very least. So I guess I'll lay out where I'm at and what I'm doing right now, and then we'll maybe pick a topic, go with it, and I can maybe bookmark it and pick up from there. But so I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio right now for work. I'm at Hilton Garden Inn. Travel all the time. We'll get to that with the who I am section about how glamorous that can be. But so let's just try to start at the beginning, for who I was, and this is probably going to be the majority of things. Had a lot of defined people or personalities, I'd say, over the years. I guess we'll try to go chronologically best I can. Obviously, when I was extremely young, I won't remember that firsthand, and or be biased by other opinions of how that was. But I can say I had a good home. I had a extended family with a grandmother and grandfather on both sides, lots of aunts and uncles and cousins. Maybe a good piece of data for this channel, and I'll try to remember to bring this up pretty often. It's kind of my age and generation. Probably pretty obvious I'm not too awful young, but also not too old. I'm 46 years old, born in 1980. Obviously that has indications to it that I lived a life before this technology rat race, and I've lived through it. I had to adapt, and obviously we're in the AI move now. But again, we'll get to that later. The the relevance of that to my childhood is, I guess, I call it analog. Your things were more human connected and definitely seemed slower. I remember um, I grew up in a very rural part of Western North Carolina. I had neighbors, but not nothing like a city or urban area. But yet, the neighbors we did have, whatever children, we would uh, meet up at whatever the ford or the somebody had a playhouse, whatever. We'd meet and just hang out, make up games, ride bikes, whatever the activity. But the community back then was actual people, um, people you knew, you didn't know, you liked, you didn't like, um, various ages. So you'd get exposed to uh, things beyond your years at an early age. You know, I say that. I can't imagine being young now and all this at your fingertips. I mean, wow. Uh, yeah, just a plethora of crap that's in your face now. You can't even hide from it. Anyway, so this kind of the community in the childhood. Again, I said I had a good childhood or a good family upbringing. We'll try to dive into some aspects of that. Good, not perfect, right? I mean, everybody has their demons. Um, guess I'll talk about my parents individually. I don't want to go into too many details in case this does do a good job and get out there and people that are close to us actually watch and listen to it. Um, will say this before I even go into talking about anybody else. This is really about me and my perspective. Anything I say is not meant negative about anyone else. It's just the facts as I remember them and kind of what built me over the years, good, bad, or indifferent. Uh, so my daddy, a towering man, uh, growing up, big, intimidating, at the same time soft spoken and very uh, accommodating, amiable, uh, good role model, extremely hard worker. I'm sure anybody of my age, has had or understands men of that age and older knew what work was, or we just think we work now. Both at a job and at home. Excuse me. My entire life with my father, I've seen him centered around um, Christianity, around Jesus. Definitely not perfect by any means, and I know from stories and from what he's told me too that prior to my memory of it, he was he had his own path of demons and whatnot. But from what I can remember growing up, it was always focused around going to church and trying to do right by others, and being a forgiving person. That's one strength my daddy has that um, it's hard to come by sometimes. And there'll be other bits and pieces of the who I was story that bring um, other aspects of that in. Again, none of us are perfect. He had his issues too, and some of those issues help frame who I am. And again, both good and bad. So I think that's a good high level summary. Move on to my mom. My mom is a extremely passionate, um, hardworking, uh, non uh, doesn't seek gratification, doesn't seek notoriety. Um, while I was growing up with her, she definitely had her mouth. uh, Another thing I'm gonna try to do with this channel and the videos is try to keep it somewhat PG rated, in case children watch it. There's no way to talk about who I was without getting some details in here that won't be um, good topics, but I'll try to do it without being too nasty in the description. Uh, very well could be that this turns into some kind of a testimony. Uh, Again, we'll get to that later because that's not a straight arrow either. But going back to my mom, she, hard worker, always dependable, um, passionate to a fault sometimes, very, uh, very family driven. Her, she has three sisters. And some of the things I saw her do over the years that we'll talk about. Um, superhuman strength, superhuman feats. There's stories that'll be baked into that it'll be hard for me to believe while I'm telling them, but they'll be true. That's another thing I don't want to embellish. I want to be as accurate, again, from my memory and perspective as possible. But those two people, definitely the most instrumental in my life by far. Got a sister that's 5 years older than me, and uh, keep it to the early part. She just, she entered her adolescence and teenage years before I did. So you can imagine, um, her having strong opinions, attitudes, and whatnot before mine, and my understanding of that. So we were not the best brother and sister, especially early on through that, and then that's gonna be hard not to skip around. Uh, Kind of finish that sentence anyway. We until we got off on our own, and definitely have a great relationship now and have had for a long time. But just trying to paint the picture for when I was young, what it may have been like. So maybe like gotta give the architecture of each side of the family too, because that means a lot in how someone's built, or I guess how I'm built. I can't speak for anybody else. And on my daddy's side of the family, um, his mother and father very straight laced, proper, more proper. My mama's very well kept woman, very calm, soothing when you talk to her, well planned. Uh, didn't really see a lot of heightened emotions out of her, uh, very rarely anyway. My grandfather, my daddy's father, extremely uh, focused on uh, what you should do. Uh, very frugal, very it was very family centric too. Caring in his own way. At the time, or early on, I really thought all of it was critical and negative, but it was just someone caring in the way they cared. Then my daddy had three sisters as well, and they were all younger than him. They are all younger than him, and you know, growing up, we'd always mainly have the gatherings at my mom, papa's house, and kind of an odd setup. So, I had one male cousin, a little bit older than me, and then all the other kids. Those, I don't want to go into the names of everybody, but there's two girls each, except for the sister that had a boy, and then she also had a daughter. So there's uh, the one male cousin and five female cousins, and most of them, there's one right at my age, and most of them was several years younger. So it was like a overridden with females between my sister and all the female cousins when we get together. Um, but I look back at pictures of stuff like that and try to remember it. Uh, I wish we could. I enjoyed that. It was very uncomfortable times. Sometimes with the, you know, I don't know. I don't remember this right, but I'll say like having to play Barbie dolls or something because, just being outvoted on the island. But, we were interacting with humans then. We're face to face, and it was good. There'll be more stories on that side. There's some pretty wild rides there too. But so that's kind of that. What was that? Six cousins and three aunts on that side. And then on my mom's side, she had the three sisters, and which one of her sisters died when I was a teenager. But when I was young, she was around and active, and uh, she had two sons older than me. The mama's next in age sister had two daughters. One of them was right at my age, and then the other one had a daughter and a son, a little bit younger than me. On that side of the family is a little bit more chaotic, less. Um, I don't. It's hard to describe, but less uh, structure. Maybe is the right word. My mom's mom and mom's dad, my papa on that side of it, just completely different humans. than my other set of grandparents. My papa on that side is more of a laid back, even keel, even a little comical. They'd always have the little jokes and stuff. He had a lot of health problems, but very pleasant to be around. And uh, my mom, she was stressed out a lot. That's what I remember about her. She was really always go, and seemed to always be on edge and just too much to do, smoking, and she's a good person. And she'd sit down and enjoy his company and stuff, but she had to be on the go all the time. I think that's where my mom gets it too, or did have it where she just go all the time. But so I had was it 6 cousins on that side, 3 aunts. So almost like a mirror, but a little bit difference on the male female ratio. It's funny about that though. I'd say I gravitated on my daddy's side toward the male to hang out with and try to, you know, uh, when we'd have to get together, so I'd want to be around him. But on mama's side, I gravitated toward one of the girls. It's probably because of the age, and we were closest in age, and could talk about stuff or whatever. But I find that interesting, and that'll be a mirror throughout some of these other stories too. That I don't tend to have gender, or racial, or any kind of bias. I just go with whatever people I click with. Trust is usually my biggest bias. If I can trust you, I like you. If I can't trust you, I don't like you. That's pretty straightforward with me. So we're about 20 minutes in. That's kind of the structure, the background of the families. And again, I had a good childhood. Probably have to talk a little bit about the church because that's such a big part. There was some dramas. Didn't necessarily happen directly. Well, it did. I mean, definitely all the stories you hear about. If you don't be quiet, you'll get hit. Whatever that happened to me quite a bit. I remember having an animosity toward going to church just because I had to go. Didn't sometimes I guess I enjoyed it, but I guess the bigger memory is if I didn't want to go, I was being made to go. A lot of good people though along the way. A lot of good people I think a lot about now. But at the time I didn't appreciate how much they were having an impact on my life. But those the church I go to now is really my forever church. It was, I guess, and I'm not going to go into the details on that, but there was an incident or something that caused a rip with the church and my family, and wasn't one to one to me, but it was something major enough to take note of, and so that I put a big question mark on how people can be like that, and two-faced people, and I guess the hypocritical, whatever, all that connotation come into frame during that, and we had. Well, wasn't my decision. We did switch churches. Daddy found us another church, and went to that, and I didn't care for it. I didn't care for. I don't like change either. I really don't like change. So change adverse. So that it's really hard to keep a straight line and a story arc on something this broad, but I'll try. So what I think I owe now is, kind of, I've ended here. I've got kind of immediate family structure laid out. I've noted that, I had a good childhood, but then we got to get into the things, the what's specifically good about it, what were some of the bumps in the road that probably gave some of my what was, and building to the crescendo there that, get into my teenage years, and there's some wild stuff that goes on. Um, and I got to talk about it, get through it, so I can get to who I am. Uh, I think who I am now is a better story. And then again, I guess I'll have to start every video like this and end every video like this, just so we know where we're going. So we're working on who it was. We'll camp out for a little while about who I am, try to explain that. Hopefully, I'll be less uh, all over the place and saying so much, and then go into who I want to be. And I hope hope by then I've got enough people along the journey that can kind of help with that too and give me some comments. So we'll end with that. I'll have to pick back up, and what framed me, what built me. Next, next piece of this is, if this is going to work, got to build people into it. So I don't know how this is going to work. I've got 0 followers. This is my very first video. So, all I know is what I hear from other people that I watch. It's, like and subscribe and follow and share, whatever the things are. I guess let's do that. And I'll try to get this out somewhere where it can start, because how does anyone say it? I guess YouTube will put it out in front of somebody. I guess the algorithm needs to hear that this is just a journey of, someone that's trying to figure out themselves. They're going to be very vulnerable and talk plainly and transparently about what happened, and what is happening, and what hopefully will happen. And then the exciting part, and I'll try to end every one of these. The exciting part is where this all leads to, because uh, while it's already in the works, it won't work without a lot of other effort and a lot of other people. So I'm hoping by then we've got a following. I'm hoping to have introduced some very, very important people in my life by then and have them involved in this, and then just transfer everybody that cares to that, and just leave this in the past. So uh, it's fun to build something that intentionally will be thrown away at some point, but uh, that's a good thing to do. I think sometimes you gotta get things out and then throw them away. So we got a long, long, long ways to go. Just this little bit took 30 minutes. I could see this part of the journey taking the rest of this year to get out and do it justice. Because if you guys are gonna know me, or be able to empathize um, with what it takes to change, we're gonna have to go into some detail. So thought this would be a lot weirder. Like once starting talking about a topic, I mean, hell, I know my life. So it's not going to be hard. It'd be a lot easier if it was a two-way communication. So I think I was trying to figure out how to do live, but I think I got to make a bunch of shorts to go live or something. Hopefully I'll get that figured out to where I think I'd be more comfortable in a live stream where I maybe get some feedback and talk to that feedback. So maybe that's a good point. Like if anybody's watching this right now and you can um, help me figure out how to do that, put it down there and I'll read it. All right, we'll sign off. Next time, who knows where we'll be, but I'll try to introduce and let you know that too. Also, give me a sorry, I say last a lot. Give me some feedback on audio quality of both this crap. Hopefully that's all right. I can't do anything about my voice, uh, my accent, so you just have to live with that. And then also the visual quality, because I'm just going to use my phone for now, because that's what I've got with me, and I'm not a professional YouTuber. Don't plan to be either. So thank you. If I ever get any comments on this, it'll be fun to read them. Signing out.